I'm Denise Rollard Barnes, publisher of the Washington Informant newspaper here in DC. Well, you all were here earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you think so far they're doing so good?
Yeah.
Pretty good with this? I agree. So our panel is what is our panel? I lost it. There it is. Keep it moving, sustain, grow, and prosper. And I'm very, very happy to have these panelists with us today. I have not met them other than to get their names. So we'll start off by giving each one of them an opportunity to talk about their businesses. But if you see in the program, it says that now that your business is up and running, you're beginning to feel there's not enough hours in a day to handle all the tasks needed to keep the business growing. I don't know about you all, but since COVID, I have been through more trainings when they said you have to go through this training. I think by September, I should have my PhD on how to run a business. But established businesses will hear from experts on how to create a more productive company, from delegation of responsibilities to use of technology that can automate everyday business processes, from human resource allocation to how to market and brand your assets. So we're going to start down at the end. And Lisa, we're going to start with you. I'd just like you to introduce yourself and we missed somebody. Sorry. And you are?
David Hinkeby from the
David.
SBA.
Okay, David. So we are going to actually still start with you, Lisa. And I want you to talk about who you are, what your business is, and give us just a little bit of an idea of what the past 2 years have been like for you.
So, good morning, everyone. You want me to go? You want Liz to go?
Liz.
Okay, all right.
Yes, let's start with me.
Okay. I'm Liz Sarah, so I'll bring a couple of perspectives to the conversation today. One as a small business owner and entrepreneur. So I co-founded a software company 1 million years ago with 2 co-founders, and we built it up and ultimately sold it, but we built it to about 25 million in 3 years. So that was a pretty rapid movement, if you will. After that, so I can give you some very direct experiences on what to do, what not to do. For the last 20 years, I ran a marketing strategy firm where I worked with early stage companies, helping them go from 1 million to 5 million or 5 million to 25 million. So I've got lots of examples to share with that. I was the chair of the National Women's Business Council, a small federal agency that supported and advocated for female founders. And currently I'm the president of the SCORE Foundation, which is the philanthropic arm for SCORE, which is the free mentor network around the country available to all small business owners for free, no charge. Great source of advice on things that you might not be up to speed on. So I'll give you lots of perspectives today on what small businesses can and should do and what they should not do.
All right. Jeanette, thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Janet Gallardo and I am a fractional CFO. I would like to walk you a little bit through my background. So I come from working in corporate and also government, so for private and publicly held companies. I manage up to $65 billion in revenue, so basically helping the companies make sure that their budget is going in the right direction, that they're meeting their financial goals, that their products and services are profitable, and making sure that everything is structured and profitable and there's enough cash reserve to help the business be successful. So after 20 years in that environment, I actually started my own business during the pandemic, which was a little bit nerve-wracking, and also people thought I was a little bit crazy. But to me, it was this period of time. I felt like a lot of businesses needed that structure that they were lacking. So for me, it was very important to come during that time to help and teach and also provide the tools that I have been I guess, that I had for so many years and implement them to businesses that are really making an impact. That's one of my passions, working with business owners that are making an impact in a way. And yeah, so today I work with businesses as a fractional CFO. I also work with them as a finance coach. Like, some people are like, I want to do my own finances, like help me, walk me through it. I want to know how to read a financial statement. So I do that as well. So a lot of coaching on that, bookkeeping, and also strategy for businesses. And yeah, so I'm very excited to be here today, and I hope that there's some insightful tools that come out of these conversations. So thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Lisa Anderson, and my company is Anavo Transformation Solutions. I've been in business for 25 years. This is my second professional services company. My first company was a full outsourced accounting and compliance company that I sold in 2018. And now what we do is provide virtual CFO support, strategic advisory, and government contract compliance. So we work mainly with companies that are in and around the federal government contracting community or want to do business with the federal government. We help them from a compliance standpoint, pricing, establishing structure, you name it, we do it. Our mission is to help companies marry their money with their mission. So what we believe is that your company and your finances should be conversational. So we have lots of conversation around your finances. And in terms of what has the last 2 years been like, I would say it's been a lot of conversation. A lot of it has been about understanding your finances, how to strategically use those finances, your money as a tool to thrust the success of the business, how to establish really good, we talked about this morning, banking relationships that will support your growth as well. And I failed to say that we work with companies from launch to 30 million.
Thank you. Michael?
Great. Hey everyone, thanks for having me. My name is Michael Cohen. I'm the founder and CEO of Suitless Inc. We started Suitless in 2015 to provide back office support to small and medium-sized organizations, specifically organizations that are growing. We focus on providing 3 specific areas, so HR, finance, and what we call e-office. So entrepreneurs and business owners can go out and focus on sort of the front-facing world, business, strategy, driving revenue. We handle all the HR, finance, back office work. We do it on an integrated basis, so using a lot of technology. We started as a virtual organization with employees around the country back in 2015. So we were virtual back then and virtual when the pandemic hit, so we kind of coasted through it, or we're now in our second iteration of finding the right technology and the right people and that sort of thing. We're also a DC CBE, and we're growing, and we're delighted to be able to help these types of companies. And I'm not sure if I mentioned, but we work specifically with nonprofits, technology companies, so startups, either bootstrapped or venture-backed, and service firms, so PR firms, law firms, that sort of thing.
Thank you. David, I'm going to come to you in a second. One of the things I always like to know is, who am I speaking to? Who is my audience? And a lot of times we, give information out, but we don't know who's in the audience, right? And so let me ask this question. How many of you currently have a business? Okay, great. And how many of you all are in, let's say, your first 5 years of business? Any that are beyond 5 years? Who's the oldest business? Any business over 20? And what's yours?
IT company.
IT company, and somebody else?
20. Real estate development and management.
Okay, all right. And
Probably 40 years long. But I help people start a business.
okay.
Where they will graduate to you all. Here, I'm going to just leave this with you.
Well, please do.
I did not see anyone starting a business, but I try to help people start a business, take a dream and turn it into a business. And that's
Fantastic. In case anybody's interested, Turn Your Dream into Reality. This is his book, and you are Mr. Alvin Mason.
Yes, I am.
All right, wonderful. Thank you. So at least we know we've got people who have been at least in business for about 5 years or more. So David, you're again economic development specialist at U.S. Small Business. So we're not talking about startups here, right? So I'm going to ask you to talk about what you do, and now you know your audience. What is it specifically you would want to share?
Well, I've discovered that the people don't know as much about the SBA as I assumed everybody did. So the SBA was founded in 1953. It's a federal agency, U.S. Small Business Administration. Its purpose under Eisenhower and still is to foster the creation, the founding of small businesses, helping them start and then helping them grow. The SBA does primarily three things. Well, we can say four things. We can say the SBA does the business assistance indirectly through our resource partners. SCORE is one of them. The Small Business Development Centers, the Women's Business Centers, and the Veterans Business Outreach Centers. Those last three are different versions of all the same thing. Go there, talk to an advisor, and they can help you either start or grow. Then we do the lending programs, the financing programs. That's primarily the biggest ones are the 7A and 504 loan programs. You may have heard about them. They are guaranteed loan programs. The loans are made by lenders. We guarantee, we're like a co-signer, we guarantee the loan to the lender. That's the incentive for them to lend to small businesses because there's a higher risk of that. Then there's the disaster assistance, which nobody knew about until the pandemic. You only knew about it if there was a flood, a fire, a hurricane, a tornado, then you knew about it. Most people didn't. Now they do through the disaster loan program. So that's what the SBA does. My job is to go out and talk to everyone about this, the resource partners. I sometimes act as a kind of loan screener for the lenders. People call me up, I want to get a business loan. What should I do? What about this? What about that? I say, okay, here's the situation. Go talk to these lenders, etc. Jack of all trades. I'll do it all to connect small business owners with what they need, no matter the stage you're at, as long as it's a small business owner. So if you've been in business 5 years or 10 years, and you've been self-financing this whole time, and now you want to move on to some external financing, we can talk, we connect you with the resources. Talk to the small mentors, the advisors, etc. That's me, that's what we do.
Wonderful, okay. So, again, I don't really want to be the one to ask all the questions. I want to make sure the audience gets their chance, and I want everyone to be mindful of the fact that I was told we have to end by 12. So, let's keep our answers brief as possible. Please keep your questions as brief as possible, and I'll do the same thing as I segue through sections. And I didn't ask you how much your book is.
$15.
$15, okay. Just, I didn't want you to assume that I thought this was a gift, so. We're all in this, no, I'm doing it.
For you, only $20.
I'm giving it to you, but I hope you read at least the first 2 chapters.
Oh, yeah, no, I think it's great,
I
because we
wrote
need
the mayor and
resources.
every city council person and sent them a copy of the book and a
Wonderful.
self-addressed postcard. And now one of them
All
sent it
right.
back. So
Thank
just so you know.
you. So one of my challenge this year, and I wonder how you all dealt with it, I'm just going to open up with a question, is technology, right? I started a business that was, technology, as I said before, was, your ink pen, your printing press, your copy machine. Now it's completely different. That's been my challenge. Someone mentioned something that's been one of your biggest challenges since within the last 5 years, as you've tried to grow or transform your business. Anybody want to give me an example? Yes, sir.
I would say applying for certifications there works. So I got the CV, then the one that's taking where is it, 8A, and I started March 2021, and we're still going through the process of getting approved a year and a half later. So just trying to figure out, what's the best way to get it done. And without me having to follow up every couple days.
So I'd say amen, hallelujah. So glad you brought that up. Because I think back when my dad started his business, none of these things existed, right? And now sometimes I think, and I would like for you all to respond, that now with certifications and all the things that government has put in place really to help us, sometimes feel as if they're barriers because it takes so much to go through that just to get to getting into business. Michael, do you want to
Yeah,
talk
sure.
about that?
Sure. I want to give sort of like an analogy because I felt the same way that you did, right? And so, in the keynote, the woman from DMPED gave a sort of a pitch like have your stuff ready, right? But one of the things that I would recommend that is here's an analogy, right? Like I'm in the process of building a patio, right? And so I know what I can do and I know what I can't do. I know that I can do the digging and the manual labor, but then when it comes to like the plumbing or I call in a specialist. And so like I think that's a good place to start when you're working on these things is don't be afraid to do the legwork on your side, but also reach out. For example, I know there are consultants out there that specifically focus on designations, certifications, and that sort of thing. And so being able to go to them with almost like a shovel-ready package and say, here's where I'm at. And oftentimes their costs are cut down because you've already done half of the legwork, but they know how to navigate the package through the pipes, so to speak, better than you would, but you know your business better than they would. So, I would say don't be discouraged by the cost that might be associated with it, especially if you can do some of the legwork up front.
Anybody else? Yes.
Yeah, if I can add to that, I think he's right on the mark about sometimes you've got to weigh the value of your time against the money that you're going to spend. And those are the only two levers that you have as a small business owner. You do it yourself if you don't have the money. If you have the money, someone else can do it that has that expertise, and you're freed up to do what? Grow your business. So depending on the kind of certification that you're trying to get, there are different categories of experts out there. So women-owned businesses can get a certification for applying for federal contracts. There are certain nonprofits that focus on helping women-owned small businesses get that certification. Highly recommend, if you are a woman-owned business, try not to do it yourself. And I believe at this point, the self-certification, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, has gone away. So now you have to go to a third-party certifier. And one in particular is called WBENC, Women Business Enterprise Council, and they do this as part of their nonprofit services. So look at where can I go to get help doing this. It will save a tremendous amount of time. David mentioned the women's business centers. There's 150 around the country. There is one in DC about 5 blocks from here. Walk in the door, make an appointment. Guess what it costs? Nothing. Tell them you want help in getting a DC certification or a women business certification or your 8A application. Get help. One of the biggest things that you can do as an owner of your business is knowing what are my strengths, where can I get outside people to help fill in the areas that I'm not the expert in, so that you stay focused on what you're the best at, growing your business.
So, can I add something in here? I want to give a little contrast. It's going to sound like I disagree a little bit with what Michael said. Paying someone for certifications should be your last resort. After you've tried 99 other things. Just yesterday, for something else that's going to be happening later in the month, with the PTAC, with Milton Goodman from the PTAC, that some of you know. I was talking to, we're doing an access to capital thing, but I like to do a borrowers panel, not just a lenders panel. So there's a borrower there, a guy who's been in business for 20, 25 years. And we went on a little mutual ranting at each other about how frustrated it is when we hear about a small business owner paying to get their 8A certification. So I don't disagree 100% with Michael about paying for something and about what you said about judging the value of your time and your money. What I do know is that everybody in this room can read and write English. Your 8A certification is a checklist. If you pay someone to go down the checklist, your biggest obstacle to success in business is not getting that certification. You have other problems, right? I want to be very emphatic, if I haven't been already. Paying someone for a certification that is effectively nothing more than a checklist of items, a packet, should be your last resort. It is useful to have the certification, but people were succeeding in business before there were certifications. So that's just my contrast.
So I'm going to add on to that. I don't disagree, but I also don't agree. It is a checklist. Every single one of them is a checklist. And they ask for basically the same exact information, some a little bit more extensive than others. However, it's the detail behind the checklist that will get you in trouble. And that is where you actually do need to have some support in helping you put that information together. So one of the things that I recommend is that you go through the process, go through the checklist, pull the information together, see where you have some gaps, and then have somebody take a look at it. Where companies get in trouble is with their financial statements, with their tax returns, with the organizational documentation, the legal side of it. So you do need support, because that's where you're going to have all the questions. You know, the SBA or somebody else will come back and ask you a long laundry list of questions that you have to go back, and you have a certain timeline to get these things done, right? And so my recommendation is to do the checklist, go through that process first, because you do know your business better than anyone else, and then get the support to make certain that all of your items are appropriate, that they are addressed appropriately, and that you're ready for submission.
So the last question I would ask in relationship to that is, because on my side of the table as a newspaper, I get a lot of solicitations, you know, for us to market companies that do these things. And some I would not even try to put out there, because I just, you know, somebody might cost $1,000 and somebody might be $250. I don't know.
Right.
So what is there a recommendation? I know you're not, you know, maybe offering referrals, but is there a recommendation, either David or anybody, about where one would find that support? Michael?
Yeah, it's a great question, and this is solely at the DC level. And I also want to sort of underscore like what Liz mentioned about the time money value is crucial, right? And sometimes there may be an opportunity, you know, in front of you where you have to act quickly, and that's where the money aspect plays in. Sometimes you have all the time in the world and can take your time. Where I've found success is where folks who have worked for certain agencies in the past and have struck out on their own and still have relationships there. If you decide to go down the money route, you can sort of get things expedited quicker. You can find people who understand the channels. Otherwise, back to on the time side, you're calling in, you're sitting on hold, you're not talking to the right person, they'll get back to you. And so really is that the time value of money, you know, that sort of thing is like so critical. But finding the right person, previous experience getting it done, referrals of being able to talk to other people and saying, this person got this done for me, or helped me with it, or gave me feedback, or whatever it is. And also in terms of like sales, like they're not a pushy salesperson, right? They're able to say like, if you need me, I'm here. Here's what my fees are. They're transparent. I think those are some boxes to check there.
Okay. You have another question?
I have a quick question. So since during the pandemic, the small businesses have quadrupled, has SBA also ramped up their staff? Because I think part of the problem is they haven't. So the waiting list is longer, can't get any return calls, not because you guys don't know what you're doing, but you don't have the staff for the herds.
I mean, Congress is in charge, right? This is all ninth grade civics. Who's got the purse strings? Congress. So sure, we'd love to have 10,000 more employees, but we're not going to get them. So we have what we have. I'm sorry. I mean, I know the people who are doing this, right? They're up on the 6th floor of the same building where I work, right? You go up there and people are working hard and they're trying to get through it, but there's just a whole lot of them. And it helps, so we don't fully disagree, it helps to have your stuff in order. If you have decided to spend the money and get someone to do that, then that pays off, because every little mistake becomes a delay. And remember, you're not the only one. And remember, the 5th floor, that's the team for the whole country, not just our region. Right? So, yes, having it professionally done can be useful, but even then, if it's just too many people, we have the staff we have. We nothing more we can do except work as hard as we can.
So who else is having problems sleeping at night? Because there's just that one thing that you can't, I don't know if it's staffing, is it, yes, sir?
I own a travel company, so we bring groups to Washington DC, school groups, underprivileged children, and also take groups to other parts of the world. I am my only employee, and I am I have the need to grow my company, I have the business, but the difficulty is getting your policies and your procedures into a codified and solidified way that you can share the work with someone new that's coming in to try to help you, and that's very difficult. I've been trying to use Monday.com as an online business management platform. I have a lot of it in there, but just trying to find the consultation to get help with getting all that information into a platform that other people can help with has been very challenging. Getting it into a system.
Policies and procedures manual type thing? Or
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, people help getting things solidified to be able to share the work with other people into a digital platform.
Like SOPs that you can share with,
Exactly.
with an employee.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Yeah.
I'm going to offer a really, really simple way. It has been very effective. I do it myself, my clients do it. But it is, as you are going through the process of whatever it is, talk to yourself in your phone, voice record it,
Gotcha.
and have it transcribed and edit
Right.
it into standard operating procedures.
Right.
That then can be disseminated, and it should be a working document because your procedures are always going to be changing.
Right.
So periodically updated, but it gives you the opportunity to not only share the process with others, but acclimate anybody that's coming into your organization
Exactly.
to your way of doing things.
Right.
But that has been extremely effective.
And I'd like to add something to what you just said. Everybody likes videos, so do what you said, but post the video. Just record yourself.
Right.
Go on Zoom for free, hit the record button, and talk about, here's how we invoice our customers. Here's the frequency. Here's what needs to go on the document. Just talk it through, post the video, and then people like to watch also
Right.
in terms of learning. So don't forget that part.
Yeah, I would like to add to what both of you were saying. So, as you were mentioning, like you're a one-person show, it is so crucial to have those processes in place, but sometimes we forget about other areas of the business. So I encourage you, and what Lisa was saying, that I do that also in my business and with with my clients is, okay, so what is the finance process? Like what is, because at some point I'm gonna get somebody to step into doing this, the sales and marketing, the finance and bookkeeping, even if you're doing your own bookkeeping, because those things are important as you're establishing and growing your business, where even like for instance with the bookkeeper, like what is the relationship, what is this person gonna be in charge of? What are the things that are important for us to keep on moving instead of creating like a barrier within your own business where there's no processes, you start hiring and then all of a sudden it's like who knows who does what, I'll let them figure it out. Well, that ends up also being a waste of everybody's time and money. So yes, starting with, and it can be, it doesn't, as you were saying, just simple. It can be step 1, 2, 3, that's it, and then as you keep growing and evolving, it turns into maybe more steps, or maybe you adjust it as things change in the business or things change within in your market or who you're working with. So yeah, highly recommend.
And prioritize it. I'm sorry.
I think Michael had.
Yeah, I'll just preface my comment with I don't receive any payment for any software or anything like that. But we've had a lot of luck with a piece of software called Loom, L-O-O-M.
Yeah, I've used that.
And so you can actually embed Loom videos into Trello or Monday or Notion or some of these systems. And so we have a checklist that auto-populates when something comes in, where we can hand it off for some of the items that are task-oriented or checklists, where we can actually hand it to anyone and say, watch this video, it's a screen, they work their way through each checklist item, they watch the video, they learn how to do it, and then they do it themselves. And so I would say like any way that you can combine videos with checklists, with anything populated automatically,
Right.
and then you have a person, a live person actually doing the work there,
Right.
you're putting yourself 3 steps ahead.
Does anyone want to talk about how you've incorporated technology into your business and what that transition was like? Yes.
More less than a statement, more of a question. How do you know when it's not too much technology? Because we all got email, and we get inundated with try this, try this, try this, try that. When is too much, not enough? And when you're talking about having something for having its sake versus something that's actually a system that you're using every day in your business. I made that mistake my first year, just kind of jumped out at everything and realized I didn't use half of it. You know what I mean? So
I think the performance, the activities of the people in your organization will determine what makes sense and what's just sitting there. So start small, start with the basics, and then only add things if they deliver some value rather than the sake of it. So I've worked with a number of clients that have had Slack. They're a 5-person organization. You don't need Slack, which is sort of an online way for groups of people to text message each other. Look at what stage your company is in and what do you actually need to help everybody do their job. So
Yeah, you're a tech guy.
Oh, yeah.
So one thing about that, how do you know is any tool you undertake, you adopt, there's going to be learning involved. And so often, and I've seen this happen so many times, both as an employee at the SBA and other places, and then with the people we've mentored before, is they learn so the tool has this much, and they learn this much and it works for them, but they're paying for this much. And it's what you're saying. I mean, if you're getting no value paying for this much, and you're only using this, it is likely that this you can manage with an Excel spreadsheet and an email account. You don't actually need Salesforce. Maybe you do, but then if you do, time versus money, yes, this is a question, but then if you do, take the time and make the effort to learn the tool so you get the value out of it. Don't just say, I don't have time for this. All right, I don't know what your thing is, football, golf, baseball, give up a game. It's 3 hours. Learn your tool.
And you're always going to have inside champions of one tool over another. So one organization that I worked with had a Google group account, a Facebook account, a LinkedIn group account, a Slack, and one other thing I don't even know. So on each of those 4, they had 3 or 4 people, 3 or 4 different people on each one. And nobody was, it was 4 different silos. It was ridiculous. So when I got involved with the organization, I just shut them all down. Nobody complained. Not a single person complained. And so, sometimes you just have to rip the Band-Aid off the thing and move ahead.
I'm going to go here, if I can. I'm going to go right here and then here.
So in reference to what the gentleman asked back there, when do you know when it's too much? I opened during COVID, and during 2021, we opened our doors, and we decided from the start we weren't going to deal with cash, no money.
What was your business? What's your business?
So I actually have a biometric fingerprinting company. We do background investigations for onboarding, licensing, but I'm currently I have an office in Maryland, and I work along with Metropolitan Police Department to do the police clearances for anybody who needs them in DC. I work with a lot of small organizations that do hiring, so they need to do the background checks. But we don't take cash. And so in starting that whole process of not taking cash was a challenge because we had to have these schools. People didn't understand, you're not going to, what? No money? But we found that it worked. And as I continue to share the benefit to the business owners and to the clients that came through the doors as to how this is going to work better for you, You get your tracking, you get your map, you get your directions, you get your information from the start when you schedule your appointment online, and then you pay for the services once you come in. But we also used a marketing tool to that. And initially, when I started using the marketing tool, I continuously tracked it, because you will see people that unsubscribe. So that's your first clue. Do they want to even be in your database because they're unsubscribing? But the database does not eliminate their information, so you still have the opportunity to reach back out to them. So what we did was we created a separate list on a spreadsheet to be able to contact those people who unsubscribed and just said, hey, sorry to see you leave, this is what we do, and how can we continue to serve you outside of what we're doing? And so we actually had people who came back, and then during the closure, when a lot of people were at home, I hate Zoom calls. If I never had to do another one, it would be just fine.
Amen.
Is to reach out to them via video and just kind of share some videos as to how the service is working, what the system is doing, and how you can get the best use out of it. So that was kind of how we gauged if it was too much. And some of the things that we stopped doing was sending out constant marketing information about it, and I only send out information if it's necessary. If we are, doing something different, we're giving a certain discount, we sent out that kind of information, and I did not do a newsletter with it because I just felt like that was just going to be too redundant, and everybody was tired of the technology aspect of things right now.
I'm going to cut you off because we're running short of time. I just wanted to get...
So I have a comment, and then I have a totally different question.
Sure.
The one thing I would say is, I think as a business owner, you can kind of gauge if you're using it or not or what have you. But the other thing that you should consider is the cost of integration and the cost of searching for different platforms, because when you start doing that, then you're hopping from one to the other, and that time that you use to learn a new platform, to integrate your old information, because these transitions are never seamless regardless of what the salesperson tells you, and the help is not always accessible. So that is one thing to consider, is just to learn that information. My question is hiring, and it's the cost of hiring. Like it's not cheap. What other platform I try to use friends and family, an incentive, like here's a bonus if you do it. But what suggestions do you have in finding people to hire without like spending $1,000 on LinkedIn and getting 20 resumes and then people don't show up again?
I have a LinkedIn nightmare, but I'm not going to share it.
So one thing, let me just start by saying, and I'm glad that question came up, because this to me is one of the biggest mistakes that small business owners make. Don't hire full-time people too soon. Look at your burn rate. Look at what is in your pipeline, whatever you're selling, products, services, widgets. There are a lot of corporate tasks that can be outsourced. HR can be outsourced. We've got 2 people on the panel that do outsourced finance and all aspects of it. Marketing can be outsourced. Legal can be outsourced. Spend your dollars wisely. Once that full-time person is on board, you owe them a paycheck every 2 weeks. And if you're in a cash flow crunch one month and you can't make it, well, you're not getting paid because you have to pay that person. At a certain point, you can do the analysis of, do I keep paying this marketing consultant X dollars a month? When is the crossover in terms of the number of hours he or she is putting in that it makes sense to bring them on full-time? But take your time before you bring on full-time people. And today, with more people in the market as a consultant, you may be better off getting done what you need than having that every 2-week paycheck hit your cash flow statement.
I'm going to go to this side of the room.
This will be a really quick comment that it's helped me. Like, a lot of people are not comfortable with tech. Did you know that Best Buy offers a program for $100 and some a year called Total Tech? They will come and sit down with you and teach you the software every single day, and it's 24 hours. So you don't have to be afraid to up your tech skills. You just got to know the resources that's out there. 2, I participate in an SBA program where I have a career coach, business coach, and he's getting my paperwork and everything in order and holding me accountable. It's free. That's helpful. So, and then with employees, this has worked for me. It may not work for you. I'm in real estate development and interior design. I use a lot of virtual workers, and they are bomb. So those are 3 things that are very low cost, that are very helpful, and you just got to up your game. That's it.
So you'll start offering virtual tours.
My question has to do with a little bit more security and finance. I'm not sure if this is anyone on the panel, but under my company, I have 3 DAOs that are under crypto. So I'm looking to get better understanding of what the SEC is going to be doing with regulations going forward from the banking sector. And I just looked at everybody's face.
It means you on the panel to talk to me and learn some. I mean, I think we're all in a learning curve on this. I mean, I think some of us are kind of, and I have a son, so.
Is there anybody here that literally that's their expertise?
I don't know.
I would, if I could just make a recommendation. So I know there's like a couple associations out there, like the Association for Digital Asset Markets, that might be a good starting point to look at. Also, like some of the states that are front-running crypto, like Wyoming. And
so I'm already registered as an S-Corp, so we're already registered under Denver, which is an attachment of Wyoming. So that same subsidy works for that state, works for Denver. So we're looking to actually, from here, so I'm looking to come back here and make that same entity here.
So the SEC actually has an advocacy office.
Yes.
Get on their email list, because I've been getting a lot of emails about what's going on in this arena. I have nothing to do with it, so I hit delete, but it'll be important to you.
Yes. Okay.
Are you looking for just more information around like what the SEC is planning on doing?
Well, yeah, because I have like one of my companies is an NFT company that does cows. So it's called cattleproof.com. So that literally works where you can NFT, work with ranchers in the state of Nebraska. So based on how they tax it, based on how they do things with regulatory compliance issues, that can change dramatically what we do in the future.
The agencies that control different things all have those offices. And the best way to stay informed is sign up for the emails and the notices on whatever topic from them. But then there's something else, actually. This seems arcane, but it's not. There's something called the Federal Register. All right, so you go to the Federal Register, the front page of the government. You go there, you set up your free account, you look for the agency you're interested in, and you subscribe for notices from whatever agency you're interested in. So I get all the notices from the SBA, obviously, but I get notices also from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, because they have some small business, rural lending stuff I want to stay up to date on. And they also announce whenever there's going to be a public meeting, when public comments, when I also subscribe from the Fed. Whenever somebody from one of the local Fed banks is going to give a speech or whatever, anything like this, it all gets announced there. So that's how you can stay informed for different things from the federal government if you're interested in the Federal Register.
Thank you. So I announced, and I think we're going to mention it to the organizers here, that they need to incorporate maybe that topic in the next time they do this event. I said we needed to stop at noon. I am going to give us 7 more minutes if we need that much time. A hard stop at 12:15 because I saw one more hand. Well, I see 3 hands. You had a hand up, right?
Yeah, I was going to circle back to.
If we could just make it really quick.
Yeah, I was going to circle back and add some to co-sign Michael's conversation about like hiring and things like that. So I own a business and marketing strategy firm, so a business and marketing strategy coach. Whenever I'm working with an entrepreneur or a business owner that's looking to hire staff, sorry, can you guys hear me okay? Yeah. Okay, cool. So whenever I'm working with a business owner trying to do that, we actually create like ideal client portfolios, but for our candidates, right? So like just how you create like a target market and an ideal client for people who you're marketing to buy from you, you also want to do that for people who are going to be working for you, because they're also going to buy into your corporate mission, they're going to buy into how you do things. So you don't just want like technocrats, people who are really good at what they do, because if they have a different way of operating business than what you do, it's not going to be a good fit, and you're going to spend a bunch of money getting them fringe benefits and then they leave. So that's one of those things. Also, Michael gave a really good perspective on like utilizing universities. One thing that I've done really well and that our business does really well with is establishing relationships with internship programs at universities. So one good thing specifically to both you and you on like tour guide stuff is reaching out to the Office of Admissions, because they have a unique like staff of tour guides who actually really care about the area. So they're not just like selling the university, they live and work and play in the areas that you guys are going to be talking about. And they have an inordinate amount of like free time and want some money. So those would be like really good programs to utilize. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you. This is my wind it up here. Thank you, because we got a room full of experts too, as well as the folks at the front. You have a quick question?
Yeah, good morning everyone. Say to traveling. So can you guys share with us maybe some of your personal experience how to navigate around the government past performance requirement for some of the proposals? Because that has been a really challenge for us. So I tried before looking at the mentorship program, but when the COVID started, everything blew up, so that's a dead end. So I'm just looking at, is there any other way to navigate it around?
Federal contracting?
Past performance requirement for solicitation.
Yes.
Because without that, I'm telling you, that's going to be very hard
He's
for
got
us to step up.
he's got a solar company, he's passed before.
So you're talking about getting your certification, like a 8A certification?
No, we don't have a certification. We have
Just to solicit.
When there is a new solicitation from the DC government, they will require at least 3 past performance you have been completed project. So if you don't have it, so that's going to be a weakness for
And is
you.
it COVID related, are you saying, or just?
No.
you just
No,
don't-
he's trying to apply
So
for the
here's-
solicitations, but he doesn't
Here's
have
the
the
thing,
performance.
the thing that I mentioned, I don't know if you were here, the thing that I mentioned that I'm going to be doing later this month, I think it's on the 19th or 23rd or something like this, that's the thing you should come to. Because that's what it's all about. It's with Milton Goodman from the PTAC, right? For the Procurement Technical Assistance Center. If you don't know what that is, you should know. So come to that thing. We'll talk after this.
Don't let him get out the door.
So my recommendation is to start building a relationship with other companies that already have existing contracts or have done work with the agencies that you are looking to pursue, and build a relationship so you can become a subcontractor to them. Whether it's small or large work that you're doing for them, but that's how you begin to build that past performance. It's also how you get your foot in the door to start building relationships within those agencies. So start there first.
Last question.
Thank you. My company is registered as a public benefit company, so I have a lot of commitment with the environmental and social aspects. But I don't have like a network or like any kind of opportunities devoted for this kind of companies. My company is also registered as a similar figure in Colombia. But there we have many different opportunities and a huge network and advantage. But here, particularly around the area, I didn't find like colleagues and everything. I really wanted to ask this question to the panel. Maybe you have any kind of experience about it.
So each industry has a lot of their own networking focused on their industry. So if you're selling heating and air conditioning, look in your industry for the professional organizations of those kinds of people. And they have monthly get-togethers, breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever. So every single industry in DC has these groups that are in place. So rather than focus on your B Corp status, focus on what does your company make and sell.
Okay, but yeah, because we have certain regulations or standards that we have to comply. But yeah, for example, like in the personal care and beauty industry, corps are regulated and have all the another kind of priorities or purpose. And I'm having trouble, like, in certain, like getting to know the network of BCorps or business, purpose business and image. So that's why I was kind of asking.
Do you mean other businesses like you, other B corporations that work in your field?
Yes, exactly, and network opportunities, yes.
It's what she's saying, is you find, well, so there's two avenues, right? What you're saying is what field you're in, and you're saying personal care.
Yes.
Find all of them, within those, there might be some B Corps.
Yeah, and exactly.
Yeah, and then the other thing is just, maybe there's an association of B Corps regardless of what field they're in. Maybe there's B Corps that make chairs and tables, and there's B Corps that do personal care. So some sort of B Corp association if it exists.
Yeah, and then also just Google incubators and accelerators that focus on B Corp. And I know that there is one in Bethesda that focuses on B Corp. Yeah, Bethesda Green, it's called.
Yes.
Yeah, so just call them, email them, show up, tell them what you need.
So if you all would join me in thanking our panelists for